All right, the first differentiation rule that we're going to study is called the power rule. So first let's recall the definition of the derivative. When we have a function y equals f of x, the derivative of this function, which we can denote either with f prime of x, or we can also write this as dy dx, depending on what notation you're using, is the limit as h approaches 0 of the difference quotient, f of x plus h minus f of x over h. And you might also recall that this represents the slope of the tangent line at a point. It also represents the slope of the curve at the point x, f of x. It also represents instantaneous rate of change. So slope of the curve, instantaneous rate of change, and it is the limiting slope of the secant line. So just some reminders of the meaning of the derivative. Now, throughout our homework, you've worked on using this definition to evaluate derivatives for different functions. A lot of the functions that you've done already have been power functions, functions of the form f of x equals x to the n. And so we're going to try to see if we saw any patterns in the work that you were doing on your homework. So first, I made a table here where on the left column we have just functions, power functions, and on the right we're going to recall some of the derivatives that we found, and then we're going to see if we can see any patterns so that we might generalize and come up with what we call the power rule for differentiation. So I'm starting first with just a constant, f of x equals 1. So our first function that we're going to look at is just right here, f of x equals to 1. Now, this function, y equals 1, right? That's the same thing, f of x and y, is a horizontal line on the xy plane at the altitude of y equal to 1. So all of the points on this line have a y value of 1. They look like this. Now, at any point on this line, the tangent line is the line itself. And its slope, the slope of a horizontal line, is just 0. There's no steepness. So if we were to apply the definition of the derivative, it would be very quick because f of x plus h is 1. F of x is also 1, so in the numerator we would get 0 right away. So this, when we have a horizontal line, the derivative is just 0, and this is really by the meaning of the derivative. We're dealing with a horizontal line. Any horizontal line is going to have a slope of 0. The same thing happens if I pick a different constant, right? So we've got 1. If y equals 5, this is also a horizontal line. It's just elevated at y equals 5. So its slope will also be 0 at every single point. Now, the line y equals x. I'm going to also sketch it here on the side. Y equals x, so we're going to see what the derivative is to y equals x. I'm sure that this was one of the homework problems and that you've seen something like this before, but I'm just going to talk you through it rather than going back to the definition. So I've just sketched the line y equals x. If the derivative means the slope of a curve, I don't even need the definition of the derivative when we're dealing with lines, because the slope of a curve is defined as the slope of a tangent line, and lines are their own tangent lines. So no matter what x value I pick for this function, at that point, the tangent line will have slope of 1 because the line y equals x always has slope of 1, no matter what x value we pick. So here the derivative will just be 1. If I have the function y equals 2x, well, that's also a linear function with slope of 2, so the derivative will be 2. So constant functions, slopes are 0. Linear functions, constant functions, slope 0. Linear functions like these two, we can see their slope in their equation if we think of the linear function as y equals mx plus b. Now, this is where we started to use our definition with things like y equals x squared, y equals x cubed, And we probably did some multiples of these. Our powers didn't go very high, but we might be able to generalize from what we've already done. So we found, when we did this together, that the derivative of x squared for any value of x was always going to be 2 times x. So if I'm looking at the slope of this parabola when x is 1, its slope will be 2 times 1, which is 2. When x is 4, the slope will be 2 times 4, which is 8. For x cubed, we found that the derivative of x cubed using the definition was 3x squared. So the power went down by 1, which also happened with our linear functions. The powers went down by 1. When the power goes down by 1 to 0, then we no longer have our variable x, because x to the 0 equals 1. We did the square root function. That's when we had to multiply by the conjugate. And when we took the derivative of this function, we obtained 1/2 x to the negative 1/2, which can also be written as 1/2 root x. We did this one using conjugates. I'm going to fill in the next two, and I'm going to give you a moment, give you a few seconds to think about, to see if you see any patterns, and then we'll generalize. So for x to the 4th, if our function's f of x equals x to the 4th, the derivative of x to the 4th, which we have not done using the definition, but we could, is 4x to the 3rd power. The derivative of x to the 5th is 5x to the 4th power. So I want you to specifically to pay attention to the derivative of x being 1. The derivative of x squared is 2 times x to the 1st power. The derivative of x cubed is 3x squared. The derivative of x to the 4th is 4x cubed. X to the 5th is 5x to the 4th. Only because for these functions, we're using the same rule for all of them, but for these, it's a little bit easier to see what the pattern might be. So observe the ones that I've boxed. Take a moment to think about whether you can see a pattern when we have a power function of the form x to the n. All right, so maybe you've seen this. Each time, for the ones that I've boxed, for all of them we've done the same thing, but each time we bring the exponent in, to take the derivative, we bring the exponent in front of x and subtract the exponent that we had before by 1. So when we took the derivative of x cubed, we brought the 3 in front, multiplies x, and now we have a power of 2, 1 less than 3. For x to the 4th, we brought the 4 down, multiplies x, then we have a power of 3, 1 less than 4, and so on. And that's exactly what the power rule does. So we generalize as follows. If our function is f of x equals x to the n, the derivative of this power function will be f prime of x, which is, I bring the n in front, multiplies the x, and we subtract 1 from the exponent. And so let's write this as a formal rule. I will introduce 2 more rules in the next video, and then we'll do examples. So let y equals f of x, which equals a power function of the form x to the nth power. It doesn't matter what n is. N can be any value. So I'm going to write that as n is a real number. Means it can be negative, it can be a fraction, any number we'd like. It can be an irrational number. The derivative, f prime of x, which we can also write as y prime or dy dx, will be n times x to the n minus 1 power. So this is what we call the power rule. I'll do a quick example here, and then we will talk about a couple of more rules and do additional examples. So for example, if we have the power function y equals x to the 7th, then y prime would be, bring down the exponent, it will multiply x and subtract 1 from the exponent. So it'll be 7x to the 6th. If I have something like y equals 1 over x cubed, we can rewrite that using exponent rules as x to the negative 3, and the derivative, f prime of x or y prime, will be, we'll bring out the exponent to the front, multiplies x, and when we subtract 1 from negative 3, we're going to get negative 4. And you could leave it like that, or you could bring down the negative exponent back to the denominator and write this as negative 3 over x to the 4th power.